Colin, welcome back to Out of the Hourglass. How are we?
Doing great. How are you?
I'm good. I'm doing well. I just had to pull a coffee mug away from you. You had 2 coffee mugs full of straight up espresso.
I'm still under my daily quota, actually.
Are you?
I just didn't have as much as normal in the morning, so I'm good.
Okay. We're here today because this is a topic, crucial conversations. This is something that I know you're pretty passionate about.
Yes.
We were actually just thinking maybe our 3rd podcast ever. This is before I was involved in the podcast. This is before we were doing weekly live drops of podcasts. But we've done something on crucial conversations before. Now this is probably 5 years ago at this point.
More than that even.
More than that.
Probably, yeah.
Which is crazy. Shame on us for not bringing it back up to top, bring it back up more recently than that. But there's a book called Crucial Conversations, Tools for Talking When the Stakes Are High by Stephen Covey. So I know that's kind of where a lot of this stems from. But why is this topic important to you? Where has your passion stemmed from?
Yeah, so this was, I guess, the first real topic content that I found my niche in a little bit that I became passionate about. And think back on why. And, I'm not a super high eye. I'm not bad with people by any means, but I guess I recognized from an earlier age that 2 things. One, to get anywhere in life, it's how well you deal with people, right? We talk about how technical skills, regardless of what the actual technical skills are, whether it's doing rocket science or whether it's being a laborer in the field, will only get you so far. And at some point, it becomes more about the people, the higher up you want to go. So I knew it was something that I needed to strengthen and something that was going to be a large part of my future. So dealing with difficult conversations was how to unlock them. And there was this book that was a key to that. I was like, I'm in. And then we went to a 2-day class on it. So it definitely ignited my passion for the topic going to that 2-day class.
It was like a major resource for you.
Yes.
And it sounds like it's a tool that, in the work that you do, so it's not funny, but like there's irony in that you're not a high eye, you're not a big, people person, yet a core part of your job is to talk to people every day. So you had to figure out what that right tool was for you to be able to do that.
Yeah, tools and tips for talking when the stakes are high. That's what Crucial Conversations, the book, aims to do. So and it's a great book. We'll say that. If you've never read it, I would definitely encourage you to go and do so. We'll be just touching on the surface of a lot of the things that you can find in that book.
So we'll talk a little bit, well obviously I want us to define what a crucial conversation is, but really our intent here in this conversation is for this to be a practical application for you to utilize in your own environments. So, business owners when an employee needs to have a crucial conversation with a customer or with an employee on their team, on their crew, this is the podcast we want you to be able to send to them. We want this to be the applicable tools and tips that you can utilize in your day-to-day.
So if you're an employee and you're hearing this, and good luck in the coming conversation you're about to have.
You got this.
Yeah.
You got this. All right. So let's dive into it. Colin, what defines a crucial conversation?
So a crucial conversation is a instance where there is opposing opinions. So it's me and you, Molly. We need to have a crucial conversation. And that means that we disagree about something, whether something that happened, the way something should go. We disagree. Opposing opinions. High stakes is the second ingredient. So it matters. This is a big deal. It might not be a big deal to many other people, but it's a big deal to me. It's a big deal to you, either or. And then strong emotions is the third ingredient. So we disagree, it matters, and we care a lot, and it's coming out. So those 3 ingredients make up a crucial conversation. If you only have 2 of the 3, let's say that you have opposing opinions and it matters a lot, high stakes, but we're not emotional about it and we can discuss it logically, that's just a conversation and you're debating. Right?
Okay.
It's what a lot of management teams do. We disagree on how to go about something, and it matters because we're the management team and we're dictating the future of the company. But if we're able to have conflict in a healthy way, not a crucial conversation, it's actually great.
So is it important to be able to realize when something, when you're in the middle of something and maybe you're getting heated and maybe you're like, I shouldn't be getting as heated about this because I don't care.
Well, it's burgeoning upon.
Okay.
That's my new favorite word because my wife had a burgeoning ear infection, so I'm using burgeoning a lot now.
What's that mean?
It's like it's about to happen. So it's burgeoning upon, I think that's what I mean. It's burgeoning upon a crucial conversation. Okay. So you got to watch yourself as it evolves into it. So just because you aren't emotional about something does not mean that they are. So this will play a lot into dealing with customers. So you may not think it's a crucial conversation because you're like, I don't really care, or it's not a huge deal. I know how to solve it. But to them, they're really emotional about it. That still makes it a crucial conversation. So you need to handle it as if it is.
there's a physical body reaction that happens in these when these the stakes are heightened. I was in just doing some prep for this call. I mean, a lot of things clicked for me. It's because it's almost like your body has the inability to determine. You're an adrenaline rush, right? And your body is
Fight or flight.
Going to fight or flight.
Amygdala hijack.
Does not know whether or not this is something that is just a heated discussion or your body is in danger, is in conflict, and so you go into fight or flight mode.
Yeah. All humans are wired to defend themselves, and when threats are perceived, be it physical or emotional or whatever it is, we react viscerally, right? So, some more than others. Think about when you're driving on the highway and you see someone cut someone else off. You don't get emotional about it. You don't get road rage. It's like, it's not me. I don't care. Then someone cuts you off and it's, how could they do that?
Yeah,
right?
Get real angry.
Very different reactions. So it's all about your perception of the outside world, and you're the one who's having a amygdala hijack in that moment because it's hardwired in, and you need to, I mean, this is the first thing I'll say is, if you think you need to have a crucial conversation, you're the one with strong emotions, go talk to someone about it that's not involved. Bounce ideas off of them. Am I valid in being this upset? And a lot of times when you're looking at it from a different point of view, it'll be like another person looking at somebody else cutting someone else off. Like, no, they just cut you off. They didn't see you, right? You shouldn't be that upset about it. So a lot of times having someone to bounce this off of is a first step for even having the crucial conversation.
So this is all saying, or if we're kind of setting the scene here, we're talking about going into a scenario where you are preparing to have a crucial conversation. Are there scenarios where you might realize all of a sudden that you're in the middle of one and then you didn't really get to prepare yourself
100%,
for that?
100%. So the first thing I'll say is you need to get yourself right before entering into a crucial conversation. So what does that mean? It means pause, reflect, and choose. When you find yourself in these moments where, whoa, how did that happen? I'm all of a sudden in the middle of a really intense discussion. Is this a crucial conversation? Pause, reflect on what happened, choose next. And sometimes that choice can be, I'm going to opt out of this conversation for the time being. Now, we talk a lot about, in crucial conversations, silence and violence. So pushing down disagreements and issues because I don't want to bring it up. And then violence being not actual physical violence, hopefully, but more so an explosion of emotion and yelling and things of that nature. So as it's happening, you need to not go to silence, but also say, I need to respond to this. I will respond to this, but can you please give me a few minutes to collect my thoughts? So sometimes that can be a few minutes, that can be a day, but never enter into a crucial conversation before you've gotten yourself right and made sure of one thing. It's, what do I want out of this conversation? What's my goal here? Because a lot of times we'll enter into conversations with really good intentions, but what ends up happening is somewhere along the line, somebody says something to us that we took offense to. So now we're trying to defend ourselves. We're trying to win the argument. We're trying to save face. These motives are now what's driving our behaviors. Whereas before it was, I want to resolve this. I don't want to resolve it anymore. Now all I want to do is defend myself. And that's coming through, and that's going to become a circle.
The clarity that you had of resolution is completely washed aside.
Right. So before you go into these crucial conversations, the first thing you need to do is go, what's my end goal here? What do I truly want for myself and for the other person? That's the easy part. The hard part is holding on to that in the moment when the other person might be throwing things around, right? So if you always hold on to that intent, say things like, oh, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole of he said, she said. I just want to focus on how we can improve. Saying things like that will really save you from a lot of continued issues.
Well, I really loved the permission that you have to give yourself to opt out of a conversation if you are not prepared to have it rationally.
There's no gun to your head ever to have a conversation with someone, be it customer, employee, spouse, friend, whatever it is. I mean, this stuff is, we're talking mostly from a work setting, but this is you can use this through your whole life, right? You can always take time for yourself. Now, the exception to that rule would be an emergency situation, which
right.
That few and far between.
So you get yourself right. You've written down, and I would say, you didn't say write down, but I would encourage you to write down what it is that you want out of this. It doesn't become real until it's on paper. Remember that we've hit this before in many other conversations. Write it down. What is the intent? What do you want to come out of this with? Then what, Kyle?
So a lot of times I'll look back upon why this is happening. So when you are working with someone, or whether for someone or with someone, be it a customer or another employee, you've entered into a social contract with them. Human beings want to feel important, and what's necessary in a social contract is trust and respect. So if we're working together, again, customer or coworker, it has to be a sense of trust here. I'm going to leave you alone in my home, or I'm going to trust you with the assets of the company, right? There has to be trust. And then the second piece is respect. If there's no mutual respect, there's going to be issues. So almost every single crucial conversation comes back to one of those two things. Trust was broken or respect was lost by one of the two people. You need to figure out which one it was and then begin to work towards building it back. So in addition to getting yourself right, you also need to take a look at what kind of conversation is this. There are three different kinds of crucial conversations. We call it CPR. So the C stands for content, P is for pattern, and the R is for relationship. relationship. Most customer interactions, it's not going to get down to that relationship level. It's mostly going to stay in the top two. So let's focus on the first one, content.
Okay.
Content is a one-time occurrence. It is, I got cut off on the highway, and it is now a crucial moment. We call it a crucial moment because you can't converse besides maybe hand gestures in vehicles.
Yeah.
But it's high stakes because we're driving 2-ton vehicles, strong emotions for sure, right? Opposing opinions, you bet. So that is a crucial moment that you need to learn how to handle. So that's content. It's someone did something to you or didn't do something that you needed them to do, and you're upset about it. And it fits the three parameters of a crucial conversation. Pattern, so we're on to the P. Pattern is where someone did a content at some point, but that didn't really upset you enough. But now they've repeated it. They've continued doing it.
And you're sick and tired of it happening over and over again.
It's now a pattern where it's like, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me kind of thing. It's like, you were late to work. You told me you'd be on time. I'm going to cut you some slack. You promised me it wouldn't happen again. I told you how important it was.
Feels like a broken record.
You're late a second or third time. It's like, do you just not respect me? It's pattern. So CP and then the R is the relationship. So for the first two, we're staying in the physical world. This person cut me off. That's why I'm upset. This person was late. That's why I'm upset. Relationship is where this is where most crucial conversations are, by the way. It's because they don't get talked about. It's the content or the pattern is now irrelevant. It does not matter if the person was late. It doesn't matter if they said something to you. It doesn't matter if they cut you off. It's now about how what happened has impacted the ongoing relationship. So I no longer feel like I can trust you, or I no longer feel respect from you because of what's happened, and that's what needs to be fixed. Don't promise me you're going to be on time tomorrow. That doesn't mean anything to me anymore. It's the relationship that's broken, not something in the physical world. And most times we don't go down to this level because it requires us to be vulnerable. Someone that you're in active conflict with, going to them and saying, you don't respect me. It's like, no, you're not going to do that. That's counterintuitive to show your hand to someone who you're at odds with. But that's literally what has to happen, or else it's going to keep happening again and again. It's kind of like when you're on a customer's job site and you do something wrong and the respect is broken or the trust is broken. And now things you were doing before that incident that were totally fine are now making them upset because it's no longer about what you're doing. It's no longer about, it's no matter what you do, I'm going to find ways to be upset about it because the relationship is broken.
Does this happen? Does it get to the relationship component when the P, the pattern, is not addressed after a little while?
Yeah, so this is all gets back to silence and violence. So the relationship tends to be affected when party who's aggrieved, instead of addressing the issue candidly and talking about it before it becomes a crucial conversation, maybe before emotions are high, they wait and they build and they push it down, and it's like a pressure cooker, pressure until they explode. So by going to silence consistently, eventually leads to some sort of violence. The middle path is dialogue. You don't have to choose silence or violence. You can choose open dialogue. Employees are 10-1 likely to go to silence over violence, right? Because they don't want to say something or do something or get into an argument that's going to risk their job status. Employees on job sites are going to do the same thing. We'll be off this job in 2 weeks. I'm just not going to bring it up, right? I'll keep taking the customer's abuse because we'll be gone in 2 weeks. Silence. My boss, he's a boss. What am I going to do? Go to silence. So if you're listening to this and you have a lot of people working under you, you need to be very aware of when they're going to silence on things and try and look for body cues, tone and body language, and try and pull out when there are really issues before they become combustible.
That's management.
Right. There you go. So figuring out which of these three you need to talk about is the next step after getting yourself right. It's, do I need to talk about what they did to me, or do I need to first repair the relationship before we get into what behavior is going to change? So that's the next step.
I would imagine that the content one is probably the easiest of them all to have because it's a one-time thing.
Yeah, and it's fairly rare. I would say if you were to break down percentages of what crucial conversations are, I'd say vast majority are relationship based because you get really upset about relationship issues, right? And the classic example is the road rage thing. That's a really great content example. But there's not a lot of times where someone does something to you once where you are like,
lose
this
it.
is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Right. So it's rare to have crucial moments around content. Pattern and relationship are the vast majority.
So when we're looking at this from like a practical application standpoint, and we're looking at employee issues or customer issues, they're going to live in the realm of pattern repeats or relationships. Yes. Would you say customer would maybe fall more under pattern and employee would feel more under relationship?
Yeah, so I would say employees, because you're working with them for sometimes years and years.
Right.
It almost always will go to a relationship at some point. It can go to a relationship with customers. what we talked about before. It's when you were doing some certain things. Maybe they were letting you do something in and around their home or, whatever. And then something happened to where they no longer trust you or they no longer feel respected. And now those same behaviors are no longer acceptable. You need to go, hey, Mrs. Jones, we clearly broke your trust somewhere along the line here. We need to repair that. What can we do about that?
Gosh, I'm even thinking like larger business development relationships, in the commercial world, like the relationships that you've worked so hard to form, to bond, and then something goes awry, and that's a major relationship that you would want to repair.
Absolutely.
That's a customer completely gone. That's future jobs gone.
Yeah. When you separate customers and employees, if they are short-term customers, sometimes you are better off just avoiding the conflict and getting through the job and then doing the classic star,
just making them happy
on them and CRM and never working for them again. But if it's going to be a repeat customer, if it's anyone that you envision needing to have a productive relationship with into the future, you're going to have a crucial conversation.
Obviously, these are not, a crucial conversation. It means it's hard. And a lot of us out there are apprehensive to conflict. We want to avoid conflict at all costs. We do not want to be assertive because we don't want to create tension. What are tips? How does a leader in a business, or how would you encourage somebody, an employee, or anybody? How would you encourage anybody who feels apprehensive, but they need to have a crucial conversation? What's the mindset that we need to get into here? I mean, obviously outside of preparing ourselves, but how do we armor up in a sense?
Well, it's holding on to that intent and realizing that the other person is going to say something that could potentially inflame you and choosing to not react to it. That's all you can do is reflect on what happened, figure out what you want out of the conversation, where was the disconnect, and get about repairing it. Now, obviously, we have a lot of tips and tools for in the conversation what to do.
Yeah.
But that's all you can really do until you truly get into it. Then hold on to it. They call it start with heart in the book. It's you start the conversation with what you want, and then I advise people to just say it. Mrs. Jones, my goal here is for us to have a really great working relationship. We broke your trust somewhere along the line. We need to fix that. That's what I really want. So saying what it is you truly want at the outset and coming back to it often, if it starts to get awry, is a really great way to start.
Can you even say things like, say you and I had to have a conversation, like, listen, Kala, I hate conflict. I don't want to create a big situation here. I this is my intent. Letting that other person know that that this is hard, but we know it's hard, but we know we have to have it. These are my feelings about it. And this is a big moment, so that you kind of like create some sort of safe space between the two of you to have that conversation.
Yeah, that directness and transparency is so a funny story. When I think it was 2015, 16, when I went to this 2-day class, and my now wife was just my girlfriend at the time, and I came back from it, and she was like, "You learned all these ways to manipulate me when we get into disagreements." But that's the beauty of it, is it's not manipulation. It's just, at the end of the day, it's just transparency. Yeah. We're in a disagreement. I really want us to not be in a disagreement. What can we do about it? It's my goal here is to build back trust and respect. So none of this is manipulation. We're not trying to hoodwink anyone. It's so using that line of, I'm not great at conflict, and I really want to fix this with you because our relationship matters to me. That takes being vulnerable, being that transparent, but that is oftentimes the best way to go about it.
And here you are now married, and from that time, yes. 10 years later. So she did not feel manipulated at the end of the day. Something worked out. So Kyle, what are some tips? What are some tricks for anybody, but in this scenario, employee to employee, employee to customers?
So I would go back to, this is not in the book, but it's something that I've really come to use is figure out what's lacking. And we're going to stick mostly with the relationship issues here as well. So when it comes to respect and trust, if it's a respect issue, the other person does not feel respected, they don't feel like you treat them as a serious person, they don't feel like their opinion matters, whatever it is, paraphrasing is a really great tool. You need to hear them out. You need to hear about what was done that made them feel like they weren't respected, and paraphrase back to them what you're hearing, because it's all about feeling heard, feeling seen, feeling like they matter. Because again, not manipulation, they do. This is a relationship you value, so they do matter, and you do respect them. And the other thing is, crucial conversations, the whole book, they're not big on apologies. Apologies are...
Oh, that's interesting.
Apologies oftentimes, so in the truest form that they are, but the way that communication has evolved is people use apologies, I'm sorry, as a crutch. they do it as an entryway into a conversation when they're not actually sorry. So the rule of thumb is only apologize if you actually aggrieved the person. If you did something that was wrong, if you actually messed up. If it is the other scenario is that there's a misunderstanding afoot. I said something that was wrong, but I didn't mean to. So I apologize for saying that, but I also have to address the fact that I didn't mean to say that. So it's not that I think this, it's that I think that. So,
and I would guess that majority of the time, misunderstanding is why we're even here in the first place.
Right. So misunderstanding is the common one. And you need to hear people out if it's a respect issue, paraphrase back to them what you heard so they feel like you're actually listening. And then you can use a couple other tools. So one of them is called contrasting. It's probably the most utilized tool that they have. So when you contrast, you are using a don't do statement where the first thing you say is going to be a negative followed by a positive. So I don't want you to think that I don't respect you, because I very much do. What I did was very unintentional. It was not what I wanted to happen. What I do want you to know is that I respect you very, very much. I think you're wonderful. So you first need to address the negativity that's going on in their mind.
What that person's feeling.
What they're feeling and what they're thinking. They think that I'm this. They think I'm that. They think that I don't matter.
I think I'm a joke.
Yeah, I don't want you to think that you're a joke, Molly.
Yeah.
I do want you to know that you're very funny, right?
Hey, thanks.
That was just an example.
I know, he didn't mean it.
So it doesn't have to be exactly don't do. It can be, no, it's not that I think this. It's that I think that. It's not that this, it's that. And oftentimes in a crucial conversation, you will have to contrast multiple times to get them back on track, because this person is off on a tangent somewhere, living in a world that's not real. They're thinking things about you that you actually didn't mean. So you need to keep contrasting and get them back to the real world of, no, this is actually what I meant. So by continuing to contrast, sometimes 3, 4, 5 times, you're moving them back to the world of, here's what I really was trying to communicate. I said those things, and if you actually did something wrong by saying them, apologize. But if you didn't, if it was a complete misunderstanding, no, I didn't mean that. We are having a miscommunication issue. What I meant to say was this. So contrasting is going to be used mostly with employees, friends, significant others. You wouldn't contrast a ton with customers. You could, but I don't think it's going to be the majority of what you do. I think paraphrasing with customers is a massive tool, because customers just want to feel heard. They want to feel like they matter. They want to feel like you think their job is important, like they're important.
One of the most frustrating things for me is when I'm in a conversation, it may not even be crucial, but when I'm in a discussion with somebody and I can tell that they're not listening to me.
They're not listening, or they don't care.
Yeah. It's like I'm like, I just said that. Were you not listening? And that begins to chip away at you're not listening to me. You don't respect me. And then it spirals.
And they get upset.
Then you get upset.
I'm paying you a lot of money.
Yeah.
So paraphrasing, A, shows that you're listening, and B, shows that you care. You're taking the time. And a lot of times, if you paraphrase well, that's all that they need. They just need to feel heard. That's what it comes down to. It's trust. Trust matters to a degree with customers, but at the end of the day, no one's going to trust in a business sense, the people that they're working with implicitly. That's more of a employee, family type thing that would, if that's broken, you need to earn that trust back. What can I do to earn this trust back? I don't want you to think you can't trust me, as I need you to trust me. I need to earn it back. Well, what can I do? That's a little contrasting right there.
And this can go, I know, we say employee to employee. I think sometimes we think about this coming from maybe a crew leader to a job leader, or a GM to a supervisor, like top down. But this can be flipped the other way too. I mean, if you are having a significant issue with your manager, I mean, the permission should be that you should be able to have a conversation where you're able to express how you feel in a calm, clarified way.
Absolutely. The other big tool I'll talk about is called AMP, A-M-P. It's ask, mirror, prime. Now, paraphrase is also part of that. So AMPP is what Crucial Conversation says.
Ask, mirror,
But for
prime.
the sake of this conversation, we'll do AMP. So this is where you have someone that is going to silence. Could be anyone in your life. You know that there's something off, and this person is not willing to engage in a crucial conversation, because some people are more hesitant than others to get into them, right? They're more conflict averse. So the first thing you need to do is ask, hey, Molly, I've sensed that your body language has been a little off recently. Is everything okay? Did I do something to upset you? And a lot of times the person is going to say what to that?
No, I'm fine.
No, I'm fine. So next thing you do is mirror. So mirroring is, all right, so I hear you telling me you're fine, but Molly, I have to tell you, the way that you are walking around, the way that you're responding to my emails, my calls, it feels like something's up. So you're mirroring back to them what you're seeing. You're telling them what you're seeing and hearing and why you're thinking what you're thinking. So you ask, then they come out and say it, great, and the job's done. If they deny, then you mirror. So what are you seeing? Hold up a mirror to what you're seeing to them. Then if they go, no, it's fine, I'm sorry, I've been curt,
something else is going on.
Something else is going on, right?
Yeah.
But if you still think that something is amiss, then you need to prime. So a lot of times people will avoid coming out and saying what's wrong with them because it's a daunting task and they don't want to go to that realm. So when you prime, you go there first. You say, is this because we passed you over? Is this because you didn't get the field supervisor job last month and you were really itching for it? Is this because this? Is there a chance that this is because of what happened last week? You begin to fish, and you don't want to fish, a ton, because then they're gonna be like, stop, it's annoying, right?
I told you I'm good.
Yeah. So you need to really be certain that there's something amiss in the relationship to prime. But by you going there first and you saying what they're upset about, you're marking it as a safe conversation topic, and they're much more likely to engage you in that conversation. Because a lot of times they're afraid if I mention this, they're going to explode, they're going to blow up, they're going to fire me, whatever it is.
Well, and maybe if it is a personal thing that it's not work related, they might say, no, it's not any of those things. There's just something going on at home. But thank you for trying to make sure I'm okay. Like that might almost just lead to that discussion where they finally realize I have it's a safe space for me to say that there's just something else that's taking my time.
Yep. So by them seeing that you're not upset about what you're saying, they're like, oh, he can have this conversation in a good way. Let's talk about it. So those would be the ways to kind of peel someone out of silence and hopefully have the conversation that needs to be had.
What happens when you find yourself in the middle of a very heated, crucial conversation that you didn't expect to be in? You're trying to give the opt out, like I need to have this discussion later. What if the other person is like, no, here we are, we're having it now, don't you leave? I mean, that clearly happens.
So that's what we talked about earlier, where it might feel like there's a gun to your head, but there's not. Like, okay, what if I do leave? This will still, there's not an emergency. This conversation will be here when I get back, right? So that person is saying you can't leave, but they're really looking to use you as a target for their emotions in that moment. By you leaving, they can't explode anymore. So they want you to stay so they can keep letting off steam. Remember, they're a pressure cooker. By you being there, they're able to let steam off at you, and that's unhealthy. So sometimes by you leaving, it's better for them as well, because they may come back with a much more even-keeled mind about it.
It just reminds, these are being able to stand firm in your ground here. These are tools that we often, we have them, they're accessible. We just often forget that we have the ability to use them.
Mm-hmm. It's one of the biggest problems with this concept is there's so many great tools available, crucial conversations. It's just that when you need to call on them, it is when you're working with what's called the reptilian brain, which is all the blood is rushed out of your brain into your extremities to prepare for fight or flight. And that's the amygdala hijack, right? All the blood is in your amygdala.
Well, that's what I would want to be able to so I can practice the word tracks that I can get, and I can armor myself up and know I'm going in. But it is that the body does respond in a physical way. Yes. Your palms get sweaty, your heart starts racing, your throat gets dry, you begin to get flushed in the face. Any tricks on being able to calm your physical reaction in the midst of that?
Everyone's different with their reactions.
Yeah.
I would just say you got to come back to the intent. Go, what do I want from this conversation? What do I want for this conversation? Is this the best time to have it? I really want to keep working with this person. I really want to continue with this relationship. What's the best course of action? I should probably leave. And you need to get out of that fighter, because you're in fight or flight mode in that moment.
Yeah.
And you can't have a crucial conversation when you're reacting in a physical way. So you have to leave. You can't engage in that moment. Again, it might take 30 seconds. It might take 5 minutes. But I can at least recount, I'm sure everyone can, conflicts you've gotten into that in the moment just enrage you, and then just take some time away from the person, and an hour later you're able to all of a sudden look at it in such a different way.
Why did that rile me so much?
Yeah, it's because it's a chain reaction. It's like you say something, they say something, you say something back. Mm-hmm. You're keeping each other in a state of fight or flight. Both by one of you just breaking that cycle, it's going to end up being a much better conversation. So the whole classic concept of don't go to bed angry. Sometimes you should probably go to bed angry.
Yeah.
Because if you're both angry and you're at each other's throats, nothing productive is getting done.
Yeah.
And as long as you agree, we're both angry right now, let's come back tomorrow morning and hit this first thing. That's
actually great. You might not agree in the issue, but let's agree that this is not a good time for us to hash this out. The one other thing I think, location, the space in which you have these conversations is also pretty important. I mean, you might, if it's a customer, maybe you're in the customer's home, you're on the job site, but with employees, making sure to do it in a neutral zone,
anywhere that they feel comfortable.
Okay.
Again, because you're looking to make them feel comfortable so they can go even further and be vulnerable potentially. And they're not going to do that if they're uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. So whatever that I mean, you got to figure out what in your world is a safe space. What in your world, where in your world rather, it wouldn't make that person comfortable. Everyone's going to be different. You certainly wouldn't want to do it in front of people that can overhear. You certainly wouldn't want to do it in a place that's maybe unfamiliar to them.
How much preparation do you give someone? Like, you obviously, maybe they don't know that you're about to have a crucial conversation. You've been preparing yourself. Do you say, hey, I want to just talk to you. Can you come into the office today? Or is it, hey, I'd like to talk to you about, the issue that we've been having? Is there any thought?
I don't think you have to give them
the reason?
Any advance warning, because if you do and you just give them a sneak peek, they may start to spiral about what it could be about. You just come out and say it.
And hey, if they're not ready, you have to give them permission to opt out in that moment. It goes both ways, right?
100%.
Well, this is, for me, I mean, I don't get into a ton of crucial conversations in my life, which I think is maybe
Well, the average person apparently gets into like 5 to 6 a day.
5 to 6 a day?
I forget I think that's what the number was. Some people more than others.
Mostly content, mostly C-related.
Probably, and because of that, they go away without needing to be addressed, right? Like if the person cuts you off and they speed away, you never see them again, like you never need to address it.
Right.
So 5 to 6 a day, I think some people are just naturally adept at handling them, so they don't realize that they're handling them well, but they are handling them.
I hope that's my case.
That's what the book said. So
that's impressive. 5 to 6 a day. Also sounds exhausting.
Yeah, especially for low eyes.
Well, Colin, this is great. I mean, I hope that folks listening, I know folks listening because a listener here as well, that there's word tracks and ways to kind of prepare yourself to, walking into those scenarios. The biggest thing for me is to recognize that you have permission to opt out of the conversation and return at another time when you're more sound of mind, perhaps.
Yeah. And if you can't remember all these acronyms ahead of time, I would just, the one takeaway would be get yourself right. Remember what it is you want out of these conversations. If you hold on to that, hold on to your intent and the end goal, that alone, even if you don't know what the contrasting or you don't have, hold on to what it is you truly want from this interaction. Don't get sucked into the defending and all those things. You'll end up having much better conversations.
I love it. Colin, thank you so much. Appreciate it.